Good morning, first grade. I hope everyone had a nice long weekend and you're excited for a new week. I am excited because we are starting Module 3 in Wit and Wisdom today. And I wanted to start by sharing a poem with you that tells a little bit more about what Module 3 is going to be about. So I want you to listen to this poem and I want you to see if you can tell me what you think this poem is about. And it's going to give you a big clue as to what Module 3 will be all about. I can get through a doorway without any key and strip the leaves from the great oak tree. I can drive storm clouds and shake tall towers, or steal through a garden and not wake the flowers. Seas I can move and ships I can sink. I can carry a housetop or the scent of a pink. When I am angry, I can rave and riot, and when I am spent, I lie quiet as quiet. What do you think? Now, there might be some words in this poem that are unfamiliar, and that's okay. We're going to actually spend a little more time talking about this poem, and it's going to show up in a deep dive pretty soon. But what do you think? Was there anything in this poem that kind of stuck out to you that you thought, ooh, I think the poem is talking about, what do you think? Were you thinking the wind? Yeah, right. This poem is talking about the wind, and that's exactly what Module 3 is going to be all about. Just like in Module 2, the name of Module 2 was Creature Features, right? We learned all about animals' features. This module is called Powerful Forces, and we're going to be learning all sorts of things about the wind, as well as looking at some stories where the wind plays an important part of the story, but we'll get to that. All right, so let's look at our pizza questions before we read our new text for today. So our whole pizza question that we'll be working on all throughout this module, trying to answer: how do people respond to the powerful force of the wind? And then our slice of pizza question that we will work on in the next several lessons is: how is the wind a powerful force? And we'll talk some more about those words as well. And then today, our one bite of pizza question is: what do I notice and wonder about Feel the Wind? So today we're going to be reading Feel the Wind, which you should have a copy in your fourth supply box. So if you wanted to pause the video and grab a copy of your book now, you could do that. I will share it on the screen like I always do, so you can watch it on the screen. But if you wanted to grab your copy and follow along, feel free. Okay, so whenever we first read a book, the first time we read a book, you are probably really used to hearing, Ms. Taylor and I say, notice and wonder. We're going to notice and wonder this text. Notice and share and notice. We're going to share what we notice and wonder about this text. And today we're going to focus more on the notice. So whenever we notice in a text, what do we normally do? Yeah, we look at some of the details. Maybe you look at the illustrations more closely. You just kind of pay attention to something that sticks out to you. Today, we're going to be specifically trying to notice a new idea. So something that you hear from the text that is new information to you, a new idea, something that you have not thought of or something that you have not heard of before. And this new idea, you may not have all the information, and in fact, you might still have questions about the new information, but I just want you to think about, and what we'll end up sharing at the end of the story, the text, will be a new idea that you notice. Okay? So a new idea. So let me show you an example of a new idea that you might learn from a text. We're going to look at the cover of Feel the Wind, which is the text that we're going to read. Okay, and actually let's go to this first, the title page. So when I look at the title page, I notice it's of course called Feel the Wind. And in the illustration, I see the flowers and the seeds that are being blown away by the wind. So that would be maybe a new idea that I noticed from reading the text. Wind can scatter seeds. So that would be an example of something that could possibly be a new idea that you noticed. So just like we always say, this is new, we are learning. So I just ask that you try your best, but try to come up with and find a new idea as you're listening. Okay, sound good? All right, so let's go ahead and we are going to jump in and read Feel the Wind, okay? And again, we're listening and looking for a new idea, something that maybe we hadn't heard before or we hadn't thought about before. Feel the wind. Have you felt the wind blowing through your hair? Wind is moving air. Air is what we breathe. It is everywhere around us, even though we can't see it. We can't see air, and we can't really see the wind, but we can see the wind move things. Wind pushes clouds across the sky. Wind flutters the leaves of trees and makes ripples on lakes. You can hear the wind too. When wind blows through cracks in your house, it can sound like someone whistling. If the wind, if the wind blows very hard, it can sound like a wild animal howling. You can see the wind move things. You can hear the wind, and you can feel the wind too. Stand by an open window and let the breeze tickle your face. A strong gust or a light breeze. Wind is moving air. But what makes air move? You can make air move with a fan or by flapping a piece of cloth or paper. But fans don't make the wind. What makes the wind that blows across fields and forests and mountains? What makes the wind that whips around tall buildings in the city? All of the earth is surrounded by air. Earth and the air around it are heated by the sun, but some parts of the earth heat up more than other parts. In the tropical parts of Earth, near the equator, the sun's rays strike the earth directly. The air gets very hot. Near the Earth's icy poles, the sun's rays strike at a slant, so the air stays cooler. When hot air and cold air change places, wind is made. So I know this page had maybe a lot of new ideas, and just like I said, it might not be something that you completely know or understand, and it might be something you have more questions about, but I think there's a lot of maybe new ideas on this page that maybe you hadn't heard before. So just wanted to point that out. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Hot air is lighter than cold air, so hot air rises. People discovered this a long time ago and used hot air to make balloons float. The heated air in the balloons were lighter than the cooler air outside. The hot, light air made the balloons float upward. When heated air over the earth rises, cooler, heavier air rushes in to take its place. The moving air is wind. The sun's rays strike the equator directly. That's why it gets hotter there. But some things get hotter than others because of what they are made of. You can discover this for yourself. Feel the sidewalk on a hot day. It is probably warmer than the grass beside it. The air above it is warmer too. You might see shimmering heat waves as the hot air rises above the sidewalk. Like the sidewalk and grass, land and water heat up differently too. On sunny summer days, the land gets warmer than the water. The air over the land also gets warmer. The warm air rises and cool winds blow in from the sea. Some winds blow gently, others blow fast. You can see how fast the winds are blowing by watching how things around you move. A gentle wind makes leaves dance. A stronger wind might flap clothes on a line. A very strong wind can make even heavy trees bend and sway. Storms like hurricanes bring the strongest winds of all. Storm winds may blow very fast, more than 100 miles an hour. That's about twice as fast as cars can go on the highway. These winds are strong enough to knock trees down. You can see how strong the wind is by doing an experiment. With a bicycle, stand so that the wind is blowing in your face. Now ride into the wind. Feel how hard it is to pedal. Then turn your bicycle around and ride with the wind pushing you along. Isn't it easier to pedal now? The wind can carry your kite toward the clouds or lift a glider. Some birds can soar on the wind without moving their wings. Sailboats are pushed along by the wind, blowing against their sails. People have used the power of moving air for thousands of years. Windmills are wind-powered machines. The blades of a windmill turn when the wind pushes against them. The turning blades move other parts to lift water, grind grain, saw wood, or make electricity. Wind brings changes in the weather. Rainstorms blow in with the wind and out again as the wind pushes the clouds along. Weather forecasters want to know where the wind is coming from so they can see what weather will be blown in with it. We name winds according to the direction they come from. A west wind blows from the west. There are east winds, north winds, and south winds. In some parts of the world, people have given special names to the wind that blows there. Chinook is a wind that blows from the Rocky Mountains of the United States. Chinook is so warm that in winter it can melt deep snow in just a few hours. Sirocco is a hot, dry wind that blows from northern Africa. You can figure out which way the wind is blowing by watching a leaf, a piece of cloth or string, or a weather vane. The weather vane's arrow will point in the direction that the wind is coming from. You can make your own weather vane like this. They show some steps of how to put that together so you can look at the illustrations. It says, when the wind blows, your weather vane will point in the direction the wind is blowing from. Wind is moving air. All around us, the wind is at work. It carries the seeds of plants to new places where they can take root and grow. But powerful winds can also carry away the soil plants need. Wind can even change the strongest rocks. Bits of sand that the wind carries pound at the rocks and wear them away. The wearing away is called erosion. Some wind-eroded rocks have strange shapes. Trees are shaped by the wind, and so are sand dunes. The wind blows gently, the wind blows strong. See it, hear it, feel the wind. All right, so that was the new text, Feel the Wind. And I hope that you heard some new ideas as you were listening to the story. And now I'm going to show you how we'll share those new ideas. And like I said before, you may very well have more questions and wonder about your new idea, but we're going to hold off and we will get to share those questions next time. But let me show you. I'm going to go back to our slides. 1 second. Okay, so to share the new idea that we noticed in Feel the Wind, you can tap on the add button and you're actually going to come to the second page of your activity, the second student response page. I'm going to tell you about the first student response page in just a moment, but I wanted to share, we're going to use Jamboard, which is something that might be new for some of us. So I just wanted to quickly show us. You can tap on this link and it will open up what's called a Jamboard, and it will look like this. Okay. It is very much like Padlet that you maybe remember using quite a bit this year. And with you using Google, you shouldn't have to sign in or anything like that. You should be able to just come to this page. And what you'll do when you come to this page on your iPad, there will be a little plus sign. I think it's normally pink, a little pink plus sign. It's pink and white down in the bottom corner, and you will tap that. When you tap that, you'll see these tools will pop up. And what you can do is click on this one that's called Sticky Note. And you can pull it up, and this is just like Padlet where you can share. A new idea I noticed in Feel the Wind was, and then you can continue typing and share your idea. You can change the color of your sticky note if you would like to, and then you'll just tap save, and it will put your sticky note on our Jamboard where our classmates can see it. Remember, we've talked about how it's really helpful to get to see each other's responses so that we can learn from one another. Now, sometimes one sticky note will go on top of another, so I'll kind of check it just to make sure we can see everybody's ideas. But if you need to make your sticky note a little bit smaller, you can drag it. If you need to move it so that it's not covering someone else's, you can do that. And I just ask that you don't delete other people's sticky notes. So just make your sticky note, post it, check out what others have to say, and then you're all set. Okay. So let me know. I know some of you, like I said, this might be new for you using Jamboard. So just let me know if you have any questions or any trouble with it. And I know we're going a little long here, so I will wrap up. This will be one part of your response, and then the last part will be to think about the books in this module. So you have gotten the copies of all the books, almost all of the books, I'll explain. But I want you to think about what are the two main types of text that we've read in module 1, 2, and now in 3, right? Normally books kind of fall under two main categories. There are books that tell stories and have character, setting, problem, resolution. And then there's books that give us information, right? Our fiction that tells stories, our nonfiction books that give us information. Just to kind of get a preview of the books that we will be reading in this module, I thought you could check them out, and then I'll show you on Seesaw. Okay, on the first student response page, I have put a picture of each of the covers of the books that we will read in this module. You do not have a copy of The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. This is kind of like when we read The Librarian as a Camel, that we will do that more together. But I just threw it in here to see if you wanted to just make a prediction or a guess as to what type of book it is. But looking at the other ones, and feel free to look through your copies, sort the books depending on whether you think it's a book that tells a story or a book that gives information. And since you haven't read these books yet, it really is just your prediction and what you think. So it's not like you're going to miss points or be right or wrong. We'll get to them and talk about what kind of book they are as we read them. But this is just a little bit of a preview of what's coming, and just for you to make a good prediction, which is a good guess based on clues. Maybe looking at the title of the book, what you see happening in the pages, who the characters or are their characters, and see what you think. And just sort each of these books into one of these categories and just see what you think. Okay, so I know that was a little bit longer of a book, a little bit longer of a video today. So thank you for your kind attention. And I can't wait to see your new ideas on Jamboard and see what you think about our books for Module 3. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye.